Hey, it's Miss Colvin-King here, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. I want to make a video for you to let you know about the updates and the things that I've graded so far. So the externally two grades are posted now, and just for some clarification and feedback. The McDonaldization of society is not necessarily about how McDonald's has contributed to the obesity issue in the United States. Instead, it's about how the rest of society has adopted the principles of McDonaldization in terms of the way in which we bank, our education system, and other things like that. For instance, you guys are taking an online class, and you can get a degree without ever having to leave your home. As far as banking, you can withdraw money from the bank without ever having to step foot in the bank. And one of you even mentioned how you had worked for McDonald's at one time or another, and how if people don't get their food within, say, 3 minutes, then there's a problem. So McDonaldization really is about how the rest of society has adopted the principles of efficiency, control, predictability, and uniformity in the rest of our lives. And even though sometimes we lament that it takes the human creativity or the humanity out of the way in which we do things, it really does make our lives more convenient, makes it quick, fast, and convenient. As far as the Jim Jones and the People's Temple, for those of you who can't feel a sense of compassion for the people who lost their lives that day, consider that of those 900 people who perished, about 30% of them were children. And so we often can't understand why people put themselves in that position, or we may call them weak-minded, or I would not have necessarily I would not necessarily have been led to my death that way. But what those people were seeking in terms of harmony and justice and truth and love is not unlike what most of us look towards or seek in our everyday lives. It's just that many of us are fortunate enough to not be led by a maniac or a psychopath like Jim Jones. And so, and by the time you realize that your leader is a psychopath, as it was the case in the People's Temple, it's pretty much too late by that time. So, again, as far as, in my opinion, Jim Jones was the blame for that tragedy, not the people who were led astray. It's not that much different than, say, a factory worker who loses his hand in a faulty machine. The fact of the matter is that the tragedy was a textbook example of a charismatic leader, in-group orientation, group conformity, and our need to belong to something. We say that we wouldn't do the same thing to feel a sense of belonging, but for instance, I belong to a sorority, and many times in fraternities and sororities, we do things, there's a pledging process. And what is your limitation to join a group to which you feel a sense of loyalty and camaraderie? The military also does similar loyalty pledges and things like that. So we often think that we wouldn't do certain things to be a part of a group, but we don't know what our limitations are until we face them. In terms of the rest of the assignments that are due this semester, your annotated bibliography is due by May the 3rd. And hopefully I've given you feedback. I've given each one of you feedback for all 6 of your sources. If not, please give me a call this week in my office, 919-718-7365. These sources are still expected to be in APA format. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. Call me during my office hours. And the final exam is also available from April the 29th through Friday, the May the 3rd. Again, if you have any questions, give me a call. Good luck.